Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Hiring and Inspiring. Today's guest is Michael Yakunin. Michael is a fellow recruiter in the industry. He works for a business called Talentweb as a senior recruitment consultant, recruiting mainly in the marketing space. Been doing that for maybe a year or so, year and a half. Got a bit of recruitment experience behind him prior to that as well. So I'm looking forward to having a chat to him today, finding out what's going on in that particular space, and also learning a little bit more about his journey and how he's getting on in the big bad world of recruitment. So, Michael, with that introduction, mate, welcome to the show. How are you getting on?
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. To be completely honest, I've never done something like that. So apologies in advance if I forget some words or looking a bit funny. So it's really, really exciting. I thought, why not? Like when you reach out to me, I was like, oh, I'm not quite sure if I want to do that. I was like, oh, but then I was like, yeah, why not? I have something to share, like some
Mm.
interesting stuff and my journey. I think, just in general, we all come we all have a story and a journey, and it's important to share it with the world. And it's every journey is unique, and someone maybe will get inspired or motivated, or maybe it will help someone to find their own way to something new. So thank you so
That's
much, Joe.
yeah,
It's
no, mate.
exciting.
That's exactly it. That's exactly the point of this. I think
No.
when you said about when you sort of felt a little bit of resistance, like I don't know if I should do that. For me, I always, whenever I feel that, it's a sign that I should do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like when you
Yeah.
kind of I don't know if I want to do that, and it's like no, that's normally a sign that I'm doing something. I need to push myself to do that. So, mate,
Yeah.
good on you. Appreciate you doing this. Look, let's go back in time. Actually, I want to
Yeah.
get into your sort of your roots a bit. How did you initially sort of get into recruitment in the first place? What's the story there?
So I, like pretty much everyone else, fell into recruitment. It's never been my kind of, I don't know, idea to get there. I graduated from university here. I studied Master of International Business, and then I was like, oh, well, what I want to do. I used to work in finance a little bit. Didn't really like it. Was very boring. Just not interested at all. But at the same time, while I was while I was studying at uni, I was working at retail, and I really, really loved working with people. But
Okay.
obviously, I didn't see myself continuing career there. It's not like it's obviously every career is great, but I just couldn't see myself doing funny hours, working on the weekends, working during holidays when all my friends are having their time off. So that was the main reason for me not to go there. And I started looking just for jobs, actually in sales, in tech sales, and I didn't have any success there at all. I had interviews, but because I didn't have any experience in this like kind of B2B sales, they didn't want to take me. And I started connecting a lot with different recruiters at the same time. And one of them, I wish I could remember his name, but he said, "Oh, why don't you want to try recruitment?" I was like, "Oh, what? I'm not a HR manager. So I don't know what to do with that." For me, it wasn't a thing. I didn't know what recruiter actually is doing. I didn't know that, recruiter has like a few clients, they've got a few jobs to fill. I just didn't understand how it worked. Um, and then, yeah, I started applying for recruitment roles. I've got my first recruitment offer from Canberra. It didn't work out. I just went down there. I looked at that and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to live in Canberra. So I told them, I feel like I gave them the vibe that I was like, oh, no. And it was final interview and they didn't take me because obviously they could feel my energy. And look, I was happy that, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And then my friend connected me with my first manager, who I absolutely adore, James Matthews. It's like he's a gun. He's my mentor, my coach.
Oh, yeah.
He's working still in Finexcel. And I don't know if you know a lot about this business, but Finite Group was bought by Randstad last year, and so basically they bought Finite Recruitment and Finexcel is services. So Finexcel is doing like professional services. Basically, it's like tier 2 consultancy. And my friend connected me with him, and I just had an informal chat with him. He's like, "Yeah, I like you. I like your like your sort of like energy, and you have the right qualities. Yes, you don't have experience, but you can prove yourself." And they offered me a first role as a delivery consultant, so basically resourcer. So I was just working with a candidate, which was really good and helpful, because it helped me to learn ropes of recruitment. Then after 4 months, I just proved myself, and they promoted me to 360, obviously with support. But that's where it's all started.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And now you're sort of a couple of years in, 2.5 years in, under your belt. How do you feel you've sort of performed, I guess? How do you feel it's all gone so far?
So far, it was really, really good. I always managed to overachieve my targets. Like last year, probably was one of the best in my career. Over 20, I achieved like 120% of my target. Now the market has slowed down a little bit, obviously, and we all can feel it. But last quarter I was like 90% towards my target, which is quite good, I think, for this market. Yeah, it's not 100%, but it's not 50 or 0. So I think overall it's been great. What I love recruitment for, that there is no limits, there is no ceiling, and there is always room for improvement. And I have the mindset of a lifetime learner. I will never stop learning, and I love that I can learn and more, and develop my skills further.
You never, however many years you do this, you're never the finished article. There's always something to improve on.
Exactly, yeah.
But I was just thinking, obviously, so you actually joined at quite a good time in recruitment in terms of the industry. A couple of years, 2021, 2022. In my experience, they were the most sort of boom time, so to speak, in terms of just generally speaking, I think, the job market. So you came in a good time. You touched upon just then, the market has shifted a little bit in 2023. How are you sort of feeling that you're coping with that challenge of maybe the market slowing down? It sounds like you're obviously 90% of target, etc. You sort of you're still putting in, getting results. But personally, how have you found that shift, and what are you sort of doing to combat that?
Well, I remember this time very well. It happened. I felt the shift probably somewhere in April and May, when it just stopped. All my clients just stopped hiring, and they closed all the tabs. I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? What am I doing here? It's very unusual. But it's like I'm a very adaptive person. I migrated from Russia, from very, very different country. And, I learned the most important thing when you move countries is, you need to be very adaptive. If you're not adaptive, you'll break yourself, basically. It's like a tree. When it's a very strong wind, if tree doesn't bend over, it will break down. Same here, I think. I just adapted to that. Yes, we had fantastic market, very candidate shortage, there was very candidate shortage driven market. We didn't have any job ad response, so we had very big advantage. We were going after candidates, hunting them. Clients didn't have many options to choose. We were like, well, look, these candidates have 5 interviews on the go, so unfortunately, you need to make decision quickly. Whereas now it's the other way around. There are a lot of candidates who are available, and clients are not hiring as aggressively as they used to. So yeah, it's just now different market. I think Great Recruiter can perform in any market. It's just different strategy. Now it's more relationship building, more personal branding building, which I'm heavily focused on now. Because obviously the market is very saturated with other recruiters. So it's very, very important to find a way to stand out basically, and just do your best.
Just on that, just getting a little bit tactical. Then, if you're trying to, stand out a little bit from the crowd and really increase your, sort of business development efforts to win a bit more clients than you've got, what are some of the things, without you giving away all your secrets, what are you doing to maybe stand out a little bit at the moment? Where are you sort of finding, some wins in, maybe picking up some new clients? What are you doing? What kind of tactical stuff?
I would say the most important is to find a way how you can give value for free, but not to give too much at the same time. So just it's a more, I think it's now more, it's nourishing the clients, and it's not like, you just call, you've got the job, give it to me. I think it's more developing the client and, kind of making sure that from the call to the, from the bottom of the sales funnel to the top, you're just bringing them slowly. And then at the end, they buy from you. So I prefer that way. Just giving them some market insights, some sharing articles, just constantly feeding them with some information that they find invaluable, and obviously asking them as well, what do you want, what sort of insights you are looking for, what sort of, where you need support, because it's not always just recruitment. They need something else, especially in my world, in marketing, digital, and thankfully that, I feel like my candidates and clients are more receptive to this kind of information, so they're always keen to chat. Actually, to be fully transparent, after you reached out to me with this idea about podcast, I was like, oh, it's actually quite a good idea to do something like that as well, for my clients, bring a few people, maybe do a round table, discuss these strategies, because all marketers have pretty much similar challenges and not all the same, but they're very, very similar. So I would say more nourishing approach, rather than I'm not a I'm not a how you say that I'm not a very hard closer. Hard closer. No, I'm very gentle. I never put any pressure on any candidates or my clients. I'm always very transparent, and I look, if you don't like the job, I rather you don't take it. If you're not 100% confident with that, don't take it. And it's just the business. Why I love my business, because that's the whole our approach. We're not kind of super hardcore sales.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it's you're not going in with the hard close, I have to win this business sort of mentality, which I think when the market does slow down, I think a lot of people make the mistake of, and clients can sort of smell the desperation. When you go in desperate, and you just call them up, hey, have you got any vacancies? And I think what you just said there about calling them up, and I think it sounds like you're staying patient, and that question you asked about what can I do for you, what can I help you with, is a great question, compared to just going, hey, what vacancies have you got? Just kind of asking for the business as well. So I think what you've done is just not panic by the sound of things, and just trust the process a little bit, or have you? I don't know.
I might don't show it that I don't panic, but obviously, there are some sleep, sometimes I literally can wake in the middle of the night and think, oh my gosh, what is my pipeline? What's happening there? It's it's other things I help. And obviously, I'm a big fan of, meditation, That's
Okay.
like really important, like for people like me, like, to calm my mind down, especially when we talk too much to people, I get a bit too empathetic and I'm like thinking about everything. I was like, oh my gosh. So like, things like that helps to calm myself down a little bit. And look, just I think being a bit more positive, really, and
Yeah.
and obviously to have the right environment. My manager, like currently Michelle, she's fantastic. She's super supportive, super encouraging, always encouraged to take some time off. Not working crazy hours if it's not required. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a few things. It's like a few pillars, just like it's not just something one,
Yeah.
it's a few stuff for sure.
Just a quick question. This is a little bit off topic. That meditation you've mentioned, it's
Yeah.
something I've been trying to implement into my life and routine, but for whatever reason, I can't seem to make it a habit. I do it occasionally. I might do, a couple of minutes, maybe before if I have a big meeting or something like that,
Yeah.
or but I don't know about. I can't seem to get it into like as a daily habit. Um, any tips for me on that one?
Look, I'm the same. I'm not
Yeah,
perfect. I try to do like 80-90% at least. So I try to do it once a day in the evening.
yeah,
Maybe I will do it, instead of 7 days, I will do it maybe 6 days a week. And
yeah.
I'm fine with that,
Pretty good. Yeah,
And I do like 10 minutes, and I love guided meditation. I just
yeah,
type on YouTube guided meditation, and when you see the results, you sort of just get hooked on that.
mm,
I took a big time off, so I just came back to on that. Like probably I've been doing it for 3 weeks, and I already can see the results. I can see that I'm much calmer. I'm not
yeah.
like not nothing, but like not many things can trigger me. I'm not getting like really exhausted or tired, so I have more energy. So when you see the
Yeah,
results, it's like with the gym. When you start
yeah,
going
yeah.
to the gym, you see the results and you're like, oh gosh, okay. It motivates you to do it more and more. So yeah, it's just same with recruitment. It's a slow process, and when you see that
Yeah.
your results, you just get into habit and you keep doing it.
It compounds over time, doesn't it, as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, yeah. I think the most important, just not to kind of set too big target, kind of, okay, I'll be meditating, I don't know, 3 times a day, every day.
Yeah.
You won't. So, but like,
Okay. Yeah.
gradually you will. So yeah,
Mm.
let me
Nice.
know how you get on with that.
Oh, yeah. Thanks. I appreciate the tips there. Just want to go back to something you said earlier about you originally, well, your origins were, you grew up in Europe, you emigrated to Australia a good few years ago. Um, you picked up the trait, you feel like the trait, I think it was, you can adapt quite, it has helped you in your recruitment career that you have been able to adapt, which is definitely one of the key traits of what makes good, successful recruiters, in my opinion.
Mm.
The recruitment godfather, Greg Savage, I don't know if you know
Yeah,
him.
of course.
He always talks about how recruiters should think like immigrants,
Mm.
because a lot of them have the right traits. They often can adapt. They can be resilient. I think if you look back to your sort of journey as an immigrant, moving to Australia, what are some of the traits that you think have you possess that are maybe and maybe you've seen in other recruiters that allow them to have success? And what do you think about that? By the way, that whole think like an immigrant that Greg Savage always bangs on about. Do you
Mm.
think it's true?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's well, it's if we look in recruitment, 80% of recruiters are immigrants, mainly from UK or Ireland,
Yeah,
like yourself.
guilty.
So it's yeah, I think it's true because when you come to different country, you understand that you don't have any safety net here. Usually, you have maybe some friends, but you don't have your family who you can lean on. So you understand that you have to do stuff, like you need to get stuff done, and if you don't, you just go back home, and
Yeah,
everyone has different reasons to move. I knew that, like, I can't just go back. Like, there is no way I can go back. I was like, no, it's just, I have
Have
to
to make this work.
succeed. Yeah, I
Okay,
have to make
yeah.
it work, and it doesn't matter how. So, yeah, I think on the other question about what qualities, I would say tenacity is the most important here. Like, just being able to, like, keep going, even, like, when you hear no, it's not just like, to turn no into yes, but I mean, like, just keep going because it's hard. It is hard.
Yeah,
And also being motivated, because, if you're not motivated to, to do this work, and what I mean by that, like, financially motivated, it will be really hard then, like,
yeah,
because I've seen people who came to this work, but, uh, they just, they're not hungry. Like, and I
yeah,
think for recruiters, it's very, very important to be hungry, like, to have, like, big goals and, like,
yeah.
achieve them. So yeah, I think that's to, like, tenacity, being hungry, and probably consistent as well.
Mm. Can I just ask then, you talk about your goals and your tenacity and hunger
Hmm.
that obviously you possess. What is driving you? Why are you doing this job? What's pushing you to get out of bed every morning and make the calls and do this job?
Yeah. Well, look, I love this job in a sense that I help people, and it's pretty
Yeah,
much gives me everything what I wanted from my work. I'm not just sitting with papers. I do, like, I meet people every day, or the phone, or, like, like, or the video call, or in person, and I really love it, and I love helping them. Sometimes even when I help candidate with an advice, and it's not just like, place them,
yeah,
but just, like, give them advice, right direction, and then when they find job in their own way, they call me and say, "Oh, Michael, like, your advice was actually really valuable, and it warms my heart, and it makes my day." It's just, it's beautiful. But at the same time, obviously, I love, like, partnering with great clients, and connecting the candidates, and being this trusted advisor for them, because I think I have the right moral compass, and people can feel that, and I won't put them in some dodgy place that I know that, like, won't be the right fit. So, and they just always give me feedback that, "Oh, look, I trust you, so yeah, that's why I went with you." Maybe, like, my salary won't be the best on the market, but the fact that they trust me is the
yeah,
most important, and that's why they choose to work with me.
yeah,
But also, obviously, I love recruitment for the fact that it has, like, it's like any sales job has this unique thing, like, you have a direct impact on your total remuneration. So what you put there, you usually get back, and
yeah,
not many professions can offer that, and that's why I love recruitment. That's why I loved sales, retail sales, because I was also, like, on personal commission, because I worked in luxury sales. So yeah, that's probably main factors that drive me to do this job, and just, like, get up every day in the morning, and just, like, be the best version of myself.
love it. Just wanted to pick up on something you said right at the start, actually. So we've talked a bit about, what you've done well, your successes, and what's driving you, and the character traits. You mentioned, we spoke a little bit. You're never quite the finished article. There's always things to be working on in recruitment. An opportunity for you to reflect a little bit here. Where do you see, areas for development in yourself as a recruiter? Where can you get better? Do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's too many. As I said, it's like, never stop learning. Look, I'm. I would say my main focus would be on learning a little bit more about retained search, because I think it's
Okay.
becoming more and more popular rather than being contingent. So yeah, I would probably want to learn more on how to be like how to sell the retainer and be comfortable to ask that, because obviously,
Yeah.
sometimes you're a bit hesitant. You're like, oh, even though like my fill rate, like, in the business, it's always the joke, oh, Michael fill rate is 100%. So like, he fills all the jobs. So there's no room for improvement. But like, it's still sometimes you feel this pressure when you do a retainer. So
Yeah.
just like how to be more comfortable to to do that. And on top of that, I think I dived into personal branding a lot. So I actually did a course last Friday with Jessica Kimber. Like, she runs her personal branding
Oh, yeah.
workshop. I don't know if you heard about it. Come brand.
I've seen her. I've seen her promoting her stuff. How was it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that she gave us such a great structure, like how to put everything together and how to,
Okay.
just because she gave a lot of free bits of pieces here and there on, like, on LinkedIn, but
Yeah.
where the most value in this course is that she puts it in a framework, how it all works and how to make it work for you. So I
Yeah.
loved it. I highly recommend it to everyone. So it actually gave me a lot of stuff to do and to work on in terms of, like,
Nice.
content strategy and who I'm targeting to, and who, like, who I want to attract. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Nice.
these two
I think that,
things probably the most important to learn.
yeah, the personal branding piece is because it's quite a new-ish, skill, so to say, in recruitment.
Yeah,
It's only really been a thing that's been talked about over the last sort of few years.
yeah,
It's something that everyone can develop. Even it's like business owners and business leaders who've been doing it for 20 years. They might not have had done it before,
Mm.
and so as obviously I'm trying to work on it as well still, but it's something that everyone can be working on more and developing, because it is such a new skill. Matt, I appreciate you sharing those,
Yeah.
by the way. It's not easy to talk about your weaknesses sometimes.
Oh, no, that's fine. I think, like, a bit of vulnerability, like, helps to build a bond. And, I always try to kind of, even like with the clients, when you share, like, something vulnerable, it actually, like, forces them to share something vulnerable as well. And,
Yeah,
that's how you build the connection and the bond. So,
yeah, yeah. It's a good point. It's like sometimes if you're working a role and just be like, and maybe you haven't found any candidates, you're just going, look, I haven't got anyone. And they actually respect it a little bit more sometimes than
yeah,
you kind of
yeah.
just making up that you do.
100%. And on the point actually that you said, like, even if you have 20 years of experience, it's like, you can be the best, like, in anything, but if you're not the best known, it doesn't matter that you are the best, because, no one knows about you. So I think marketing these days is really, really important. And, position
Yeah,
yourself in the right ways, like, is really crucial. Like, she even shared some statistics, because more and more millennials are becoming decision makers, and the way they make decisions are completely different from like, baby boomers. And they more
right.
appreciate online presence, and they do research about the
Mhm.
business, about you, before, like, making any decision. So
Yeah,
it's just changing. And a lot of people I can hear, like, in recruitment. My manager, for instance, like my first manager, James, said, like, he's like very traditional recruiter, like, cold calls, like, all these sort of things. And he's
yeah,
like, I will finish my career when we move completely to, like, texting, emails. I hate that. Like,
yeah, yeah.
I know that, like, to get a hold of him, you can text him, you can email him. He probably will never get back to you, but if you call him, he'll always
Okay,
get
yeah,
back to you.
nice.
So, but that's, I think, something that people are moving away from, because, even in the phone, like, phone function itself, it becomes less and less important. Like, people
Yeah,
don't really call each other. I don't know if you call much, like, to your friends, or I don't know, just like, in your for your personal reasons, because I usually do everything online
yeah,
these days.
yeah, yeah. It's true. I think just on that, I think the phone. I don't think it will ever. it'll ever die. Or mate, who knows? I don't know. But
Mm,
like, I think
yeah.
it's still definitely got its place. But
Mm,
it struck me, maybe a few years ago, like if I work, all day and I'm just making phone calls all day, I can make, I don't know, 100 calls
oh,
if I really,
wow.
go for it, and I used to do that back in the day. And if you make 100 calls, you might speak to, I don't know, 25,
Mm,
30 people maybe. And, there's a good amount, but then sometimes I drop a post on LinkedIn and it can reach 5,000 people.
mm,
So the numbers to me, it was
exactly.
just like it's a no brainer. I can obviously
Yeah.
5,000 people. They're not all decision makers, clients, candidates, or whatever. But to me, if you're supplementing your phone activities with online presence, it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
To me, if you're not doing it, like what are you doing? In my opinion,
Yeah.
you're missing out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's definitely a supplement activity. It's not like
Yeah,
everything. You still need to do calls, and you still need to, do other things to to make it work. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
I agree.
We've talked about your past. We've talked about what you're doing at the moment. What does the future look like for Michael in recruitment? What are some of your ambitions?
It's a good question. I was actually talking about it with my manager recently.
Okay,
I I still think that I want to be just developing myself as a consultant. I
sure.
don't see myself as a manager at this stage and kind of having a team under me. I don't know why. It just doesn't really. I don't know. Just doesn't really doesn't attract me. For me, I want to be trusted advisor for my clients, be a go-to expert in the marketing and digital field,
Yeah.
just become like a bit more experienced and more like, maybe tech savvy in the
Okay.
industry. Just keep developing in marketing and digital for sure, because that's what I like. I wanted to work actually in marketing, but, never knew that I would be recruiting marketing people. So, yeah.
No. And one final question, mate. This is my typical closing question on this show.
Yeah.
The idea of success. What does success mean to you in your maybe personal life as well as your professional recruitment career?
Well, for me, success is the most important thing is that I have peace of mind, that I can sleep at night, because I don't
Okay.
want to do any things that will keep me awake, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I've done so bad. I shouldn't have done it. But, it maybe get me ahead in life. No, I would never do. But just honestly I think being happy with what you are doing, and obviously also what you are doing allows you to live a good life, and allowing you to achieve your your goals, and I don't know, explore the world or buying property. So it's a few things, but yeah, the most important that it makes me feel good about myself and just what I'm doing.
Love it. Michael Yakunin, thank you very much for
Thank
joining me on the show. Really appreciate you coming on and talking all things recruitment. Really enjoyed it, sharing your journey as well. I'm like you said at the start, I'm sure someone would have taken something from that. So that is that's the goal. So thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
Let's I
Joe.
hope to stay in touch, mate.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, appreciate it.